You can see the schedule on your screen. They have that early bye in week 6, but let's cover the first 5 games for them. But also in the preseason, I appreciate the guys in the studio updating that. They've got 3 preseason games, just like everybody else. The Houston Texans, New England Patriots, and, of course, the Tennessee Titans. Then they have the 5 games, one of them being on Monday night against, and it'll be at the Chicago Bears. So that's going to be one of those great games on Monday night, right to start off the season. 2 home games back-to-back here. We have Atlanta Falcons on the Sunday night game. So they have 2, right off the bat, primetime games. Home against the Cincinnati Bengals in week 3. Then they have 2 away games right before the bye. But these are 2, when we say away, it's far away. They have to go one in London and one in Dublin. Where Dublin they are host. They will be the away team against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then they go to England, and they are the away team there, literally against the Cleveland Browns. Your thoughts on those first 5 games?
I think that playing two games back to back in Europe is challenging, for sure. I'm assuming that they're going to fly out there and stay out there.
Yeah.
But sometimes that helps teams too, because that's when like teams bond and that camaraderie comes together. Like speaking of with like Washington, I remember when they had a couple of West Coast games in a row last year. Do you remember they stayed out on the West Coast all together?
Yeah.
And the team really said that helped them bond and become like a real true team.
Yeah.
So I think that it could work to the beneficial to them, to their benefit, but we'll see how it goes. That's tough. Just off the bat, Bears, Falcons, Bengals. On paper, if you're looking at like strength of schedule compared to last year, none of those teams made the playoffs. So last year, so the strength schedule might look easier than the Lions. But I think the Bengals we've talked about a bunch. It's not their offense, it's their defense. It's a shootout, and I don't know if the Vikings can keep up with them with JJ McCarthy at quarterback. Well, who knows if he can or not, right? We don't have enough sample size to tell.
Right, and especially he's coming off that surgery from last year that took his season in the preseason, so he should be ready to go. But we'll wait for reports from minicamp and of course training camp later this year. After the bye, they have a tough one. They host the Philadelphia Eagles. Then they have 2 away games at the Chargers and then at, of course, the Detroit Lions. Then they have 2 home games. Home against the Baltimore Ravens, home against the Chicago Bears. Then they have 2 away games. Green Bay Packers at Seattle, which we all know as a Washington fan is very tough to play in Seattle.
That's a Sam Darnold revenge game too.
Absolutely. Home against the
Sam Darnold was their quarterback last year, and then they shipped him off or didn't want to re-sign him. And he signed with Seattle, so he's going to be amped for that game, guaranteed.
Absolutely. Home against the Washington Skins, as I call them. On a Sunday night game at the Dallas Cowboys, at the New York Giants, and then the last 2 games, they're both at home. They too play on Christmas. We just talked about with the Detroit Lions, so they'll be home hosting the Lions. That'll be a 4:30 kickoff only on Netflix, so make sure you subscribe to Netflix and don't miss out for that particular game. And then they wrap the season up home against the Green Bay Packers. Right off the bat, Shano, I got to say, they got that early bye. That might bite them. That really will. So,
yeah, that's a super early bye, but it kind of makes sense because they're in England for at least 2 weeks. I'm sure they're going to probably fly out shortly after that Bengals game,
right,
and be out there probably closer to 3 weeks. So it makes sense because they're coming back from England. Unlike we talked about in our last video about the Jets, who are coming back and have to play it again right after being in London. At least they get some of that adjustment time back to get back and not be jet lagged and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I see them splitting one of those 2 games to probably take care of the Browns or vice versa with the Pittsburgh Steelers. What is your overall record for the Minnesota Vikings here? Now, remember, we talked about it where McCarthy's now allegedly or we're assuming that he's going to be the starting quarterback. What's your thoughts?
He's basically a rookie quarterback. So, it's an unknown, right? Most rookies struggle, right? Especially early on in the season. And then most rookies, like it's kind of like a bell curve. I feel like they struggle and then they slowly start building up, and then they're like, all right, he starts doing well, and then defense coordinators say, all right, we found out what he does well. Boom, let's take that away, and then they crash back down near the end of this year.
Yep.
So it's tough. They're not going to be as good as last year. They're not going to be battling for the NFC North, I don't think. And where they had 13, 14 wins, like last season.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the team is still solid. They have a decent defense. They still have Justin Jefferson, right? They still have a pretty good run game. But I see them probably, I don't know. I feel like I'm going 8-9 a lot, but this like I did with the Lions there.
Yeah.
But about in that same range, 8-9 wins.
I looked at it as 7-10, 8-9 as well. So we shall see what happens, and that's why they play the game. Let's move forward.